We are live.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in. I'm Joe Choffs. I'm here with the boys, Bobby Bottles and Coach Frank. And today we're going to break down for you a quick analysis of the MLB trade deadline. A lot of moves today, but obviously the first one we want to talk about is the biggest fish getting traded, Juan Soto. It was discussed for the last couple weeks that a deal would most likely happen, and it finally did today. The full deal is Juan Soto and Josh Bell traded to the San Diego Padres in exchange for a bunch of prospects: Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel, CJ Abrams, James Wood, Yarlin Santana. I don't know any of these guys, but I'm sure Bobby does because he watches a lot of tape on these guys. So maybe Bobby could tell us a little bit more about them. But apparently they're ranked very highly on MLB's MLB Pipeline's pitching prospects. So they've got a couple of those guys in the fold now. And Soto now joins a loaded lineup with Machado, Will Myers, Fernando Tatis. I think he should be coming back shortly, right? Right, Bobby?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and the Padres, they were the big winners this deadline. They also improved their pitching by adding lefty closer Josh Hader from the Brewers in exchange for their own closer, Taylor Rogers, in a package that also included a bunch of prospects as well. Bobby, you're the guy that always says you love when a team takes their shot. And this is the Padres taking their shot. No one's saying that they'll be able to re-sign Soto in 2 years, but for the next 2 years, the window is wide open for them, and they've got a real big shot at winning something these next 2 years. So what do you think?
Yeah, very, very few times do I like deals for both teams. I really like this deal for both teams. San Diego obviously got an elite generational talent in Juan Soto. We know how good he's been. I believe they said he has the second highest OBP in history, only behind I believe it's Williams from Boston. Um, like we're talking about an elite level talent here. And the San Diego Padres gave up, I believe it was 3 of the top 5 MLB top 100 prospects, plus CJ Abrams, who I believe was playing on the major league roster at the time. So both teams got what they wanted. The Nationals needed to move him because they weren't going to re-sign him. They got a ton of prospects. Are they going to hit? I don't know. We don't really know. It's a crapshoot, but they got 5 high level talent players, and San Diego got the big fish. Now Josh Hader, another good move. I've been hearing reports that he may not be the most, the dominant Josh Hader that we know of the last 5 years, but whenever you add a closer like that, lefty elite closer, it's going to help them a lot. The biggest problem, though, is that they're in the division with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are maybe the most well-run organization in baseball. So the window's open. Yeah, of course, they're willing to spend. They're willing to kind of push their chips, but they're not going to win that division, so they're going to be in that wild card game. So, it's going to be interesting. But I like the move. I like the move for both teams.
Frankie, what do you think? Bobby just summed it up perfectly for you, didn't he?
How do you do better than that? I just want to. I find it a little scratching my head a bit how you have a division leader in Milwaukee who trades their closer to another division leader in San Diego. Now they may have somebody come up the pipe that they may like as their setup guy. I don't know the Brewers roster, as well as Rob does, but I just find it interesting. You get an all-star closer being dealt at the deadline to another division rival. You could potentially see them in the playoffs, right? So I find that interesting.
It was very interesting because they acquired Taylor Rogers, who was the Padres closer, who's been a really good closer this year as well. So you really don't see these types of deals at this time of year where it's like good player for good player. And that's exactly what happened. It's a good baseball trade.
What I just like to see, what I think the Padres, what we know that they're doing is it's almost like this takes me back to the Washington Penguins playoff series where Washington could never beat Pittsburgh. Well, all the Padres seem like they want to do is beat the Dodgers. So the Padres are in the Washington Capitals seat here, that if they can just get past the Dodgers, they could go on to win the whole damn thing. So it just seems like it's like an arms race to just load up as much as you can just to beat the Dodgers. But imagine a pitcher going up against a threesome of Soto, Machado, Soto, Tatis. It's like, oh, walk, walk. Let's get to the next guy. Let's load the bases.
We'll give up this inning. We'll try next inning.
Exactly.
Do you think, Bobby, I'll go to you first. Do you think that the Padres can take the Dodgers in a 7-game series?
No.
You still don't, eh?
No. The Dodgers pitching staff is just too good. I think. I think they're built so well. I don't think I believe they're like 12 games up on the Padres right now, or 13. So they're an obscene amount up. I mean, their run differential. They are the model of efficiency, and I believe they've been to the World Series like what, 2 of the last 3 years, or 3 of the last 4, or some.
Yeah.
They're still.
It helps when you have that payroll, right?
Yeah, but they're just so well run in terms of like I believe their 5 starters, all of them have like fantastic, like their 5th starter is like a number 2 on another team. I think they're just so well run. Plus they have the bats, they have the bullpen. It's going to be tough. I mean, but it's great to see, Juan Soto was kind of wasting away in Washington. So, hey, it's going to make October a lot more exciting.
All right. Let's turn our attention towards the Jays. We are from Toronto, so that was all the buzz today about what the Jays were going to do or didn't do. The Jays deadline, I guess, didn't go as Jays fans would have maybe hoped. They didn't land any big fish like a Soto or Ohtani. I can't even believe that name was actually out there. But they did improve the bullpen, which a lot of people thought that was their number 1 goal going in. They acquired relievers Anthony Bass, who is a former Jay, and Zach Pop from the Miami Marlins in exchange for your boy, Bobby, Jordan Groshans. A sad day for you, I'm sure. I'm sure you'll keep tabs on him, keep watching the tape on him. But what was your reaction when you heard that name and he was part of the deal? He was the guy going the other way in this trade for the Jays.
To be honest with you, I'm not a Nostradamus or anything like that. But after the Jays draft, you knew that one of Aurelvis Martinez or Jordan Groshans were going to get moved at this trade deadline, and it was just a matter of for what and was it going to be worth it. I'm not sure if it's Jordan or Aurelvis. One of them has to go on to the 40-man roster next year, or they'll be exposed to the Rule 5 draft. Where if you don't know, the Rule 5 draft is if you're in the minors for I believe 3 years and you're not protected in the 40-man roster, you can be drafted by another team. You see it every once in a while. It doesn't get a lot of attention. Actually, Jordan Romano was a Rule 5 pick by, I believe, Milwaukee, and then moved to Texas, and luckily they sent him back to the Jays. So, given the fact that they drafted Josh Kasevich, 2nd-round pick out of Oregon, elite defender, probably going to play in the majors because of his glove. Tucker Tolman, high-level high school player, and Cade Doughty, who I believe played at LSU. They drafted 3 middle infielders in the first 3 rounds, so it kind of made Jordan or Aurelvis expendable. The return, I was disappointed, to be honest with you guys. Like, first of all, when you hear Shohei Ohtani's in the mix, how do you not sit there and say, let's give our top 5 for this guy? We're talking about like modern day Babe Ruth. His ERA is fantastic. His batting average is fine, 255. Like, that was the first disappointing thing. And then my second disappointing thing, and you're going to disagree with me, Joe, I really think Noah Syndergaard would have fit nicely with this team. I think it would have been a nice 5 guy. Maybe, if we got to move him to the bullpen, we would move him to the bullpen. What Philly gave up for him really wasn't that big of a haul. So I really wish they'd gone after him. The other big name that they got was Whit Merrifield, which is, Whit's a nice player, but they needed pitching and lefty bats, and they went and got Whit Merrifield, who is a right-handed hitter. So
he does give them some depth in the outfield, especially with that Springer injury. That elbow injuries kind of lingered on, and they don't know, or we don't know. I'm sure the Jays know how big of a cause of concern that injury actually is. So this gives them a little bit of insurance here. Like, Whit Merrifield is not having a great year by his standards, but we're talking about a guy who was a 2-time All-Star. He actually led the league in hits in 2018, 2019, and I get it, it's not 2019, but this is a guy that can still hit and contribute and gives them a little bit more depth that they don't have to use like a Bradley Zimmer if it were to come to it and Springer were to actually be out for an extended period of time. So I didn't mind that deal.
What happens when they come up against like a righty bullpen and they want to go to a lefty and they still don't have any?
I'm sure they looked at trying to acquire the lefty, but this front office has never been known to overpay for guys. It always seems they're looking for value, and I guess they didn't see it. And I guess I would say to Jays fans is to relax a little bit. This isn't a team that's in a 1-year window. None of their big fish are up for contracts next year. They're all signed for next year. So the window would still be open for next year. They'll probably be even better. And maybe next year's the year that they go all in and throw all their chips in. But in seeing what all the prices were this year, perhaps they felt that no matter who they acquired, was it actually going to put them at the level of the Yankees? They don't know. Maybe it just wasn't the year to do that. I mean, they did improve the bullpen. You look at Bass. Some people will scoff at that acquisition, but he's been really good this year, and he's able to strike out guys, which they need. Just for comparison here, if we want to look at the WAR metric, wins above replacement, here's the Jays relievers. You got Garcia, who's a 0.7, Phelps 0.6, or sorry, 0.7 as well, Simber 0.6, Jordan Romano is 0.8 WAR, Anthony Bass is 1.4. So he's got the best WAR out of their total bullpen right now. So I think he definitely does improve that. And I think what the front office is probably seeing, and I know as fans, everybody wants you to go all in. Who cares about the prospects? Who cares? We want to win now. But the front office is probably saying we can go on a run this year and win it. But if we don't, we still got years of runway to play this off and go for it maybe next year or the year after.
I'm by no means bashing Anthony Bass. He's having a fantastic season. I believe his ERA is like 1.84, which is I mean, Romano's I think is 2.3, and we consider him like an elite closer.
Exactly.
I'm by no means bashing, and I think they did a good job because now you look at that bullpen, you're going Phelps is your 6, maybe Garcia's your 7, Bass your 8, Romano's your 9. That's fine. I just think they needed a lefty bat, and I think a back end starting pitcher just in case, because I don't know in a game where, you know, a do or die game where Kikuchi might be pitching, is that something you're going to trust? Maybe to have like a Noah Syndergaard on the back end, who everybody's going to scoff at, is going to say, 3.84 ERA, starting pitcher. You know, that's pretty darn good. And if that's kind of your 5 and your insurance policy, it's an expensive insurance policy because I believe he still owed like $10 million this year. But I just think they wouldn't have given up a lot to get him. Now, maybe they didn't want him, and that's fair. I just think it would have been it would have been finally coming full circle, and for Thor to finally be coming back home to Toronto where he should have started his career.
Yes, indeed. Of course, he was the guy or one of the people dealt in the R.A. Dickey deal way back when from the Alex Anthopoulos days. A little caveat to this Merrifield deal was that the fact that he is actually not vaccinated. And that matters, of course, because he won't be able to travel between countries, U.S. and Canada, without being vaccinated because both countries require you to be vaccinated to enter it. Say what you want about that rule at this point. It's crazy, I think, but it still is there, so you have to abide by it.
He didn't even make the trip to Toronto last time.
That's right. He did not. You're right.
I listen, they've discussed with him. I guaranteed.
Obviously, yes. Obviously. You're not pulling the trigger on that deal.
Of course. But I'm sitting here going, Andrew Benintendi was kind of available, and he's in the same situation where they don't know if he's got to get shots to play in New York, I believe. I think New York is one of the states where I believe Kyrie had the issue in Brooklyn where you couldn't he was going to miss a lot of home games. It's just, I
don't
feel
know if
like
that's still a thing in New York. We'd have to get that. We'd have to get our fact checker.
I've heard that there might
someone
be
from New York. Tell us right into us and let us know.
I've heard there might be issues with Andrew Benintendi, and that was a guy I think would have fit perfectly. But there were those issues with the COVID vaccine because he also is unvaxxed. So it's
Listen, the good thing about this, Jays fans, the Jays only have 6 of their next 21 games at home. So they probably will leave Merrifield in the U.S. He'll play all the road games until he's able to get up to speed on his vaccination records.
They also got, we left this out. They got one other person PTBNL,
Player
our
to be named
favorite.
later. Yes, love the player to be named
Yes.
later.
You
Yes.
actually did miss a transaction. They actually did pick up a back end of the rotation type of guy with Mitch White from the Dodgers. So just a little bit on him is the fact that they're looking at him. He's got some control. So they is a guy who won't be a free agent until 2028. But it's a guy who it's almost like a Stripling, Ross Stripling move from last year, where you have a guy who's a swing man who can play a fifth end starter or give you some length in the bullpen. And I think what they're trying to do with him is more of the if Kikuchi, you know, falls off the radar, you have this guy as your fifth, or if Kikuchi can somehow stay in that fifth, it gives you some options out of the bullpen, which I actually also would say, Stripling has pretty much kept that spot in the rotation, which well deserved, right?
Yep.
So a little under the radar, but then again, you think to yourself, why would the Dodgers give up a guy like that, right? It's almost like, why would they if he was valuable, why keep him, right? But not something what you can tell a lot about these moves. Everybody that they've acquired for the most part has control, and the Jays like that flexibility type of thing. So nobody like a Rodon who had the option of opting out at the end of the year. All flexibility with control. So there's a theme there.
And that's been this front office's MO since they got here. They
Who's
love
running
when
this
guys
team?
have
Al
control,
Dubas?
right?
I mean, I love guys. I love efficiency, but at some point you got to show up to you got to show up to a knife fight with a gun and say like we are the big daddies of this league. We are the richest. Rogers is the richest owner at some point. And they also added Alex DeJesus in that Mitch White deal. Mitch White just doesn't. I don't know. Didn't really know enough about him. Noah Syndergaard is that nice big name that I would have liked, but yeah, Mitch White and Alex DeJesus also becoming Jays. I have no idea who Alex DeJesus is. So,
but let's keep this in context here. This is not the Noah Syndergaard of the Lansing Lugnut fame here, throwing over 100. His velocity's down to like 94. So I know it's the name and the hair and everything, but don't get fixated on the aura of Syndergaard, who missed a whole year as well in 2020, right? Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, let's kind of temper expectations on that as well.
3.84 ERA, and he's pitching against the Astros, he's pitching against the Mariners. We're again, like I agree. I know he's like you said, he's low 90s now, but like seems like he's had a really good season, pretty good pitcher. Just because doesn't throw hard doesn't mean you can't be effective.
That is true. And I guess pitchers, they evolve over their careers, right? They figure out a way to stay effective. The really good pitchers, anyways. I just want to bring this up quickly. Tweet of the night by Dan Zimborski. He's a writer at Fangraphs. I probably butchered that last name, but he said, I have to admit, I'm kind of rooting for Merrifield not to get vaccinated, setting up the only country-based platoon scenario in baseball history.
I swear to God, I thought of that situation. Like maybe they're not going to bring him up here for road.
That's it. He's only playing on the road.
Just leave him in the.
Meet us at the next hotel. The next road
but
game.
He did say to a Kansas City media beat reporter a few days ago that if it meant getting into the playoffs, he'd actually consider it. So
yeah, he's gonna do it. Like, and I heard that too. What I saw people banging on him, like, oh, you don't care about other people's safety. What do you think he's gonna say? No, I'm not gonna take the shot. Like they're idiots for training for me. Like, are you people okay? Are people like?
Well, whatever he decides to do, he's giving the Jays a real shot in the arm.
Wow, we'll end our Jays talk with that. I like that, Frankie. Let's just transition quickly to the Yankees because I know Bobby loves them so much. They had a really good trade deadline as well. They really went for it this year. I felt like, although they didn't get their main guy, who I think I heard a lot of people say that they were after Luis Castillo. They didn't get him, but they did end up acquiring Frankie Montas from the A's, relievers Lou Trevino, Scott Elfrost, and from the Royals outfielder Andrew Benintendi. They also got rid of Joey Gallo in one of those transactions as well. So, Bobby, as a Yankees fan, how did you like their deadline, and do you think they have what it takes to not only get past the AL, but if they get to the World Series against the Atlanta Braves or Dodgers or Padres, Do you think they have what it takes to get by those teams and finally end the long, what is it, 12-year drought?
13-year drought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nice, yeah. A lot of moves. They did a lot. They moved a lot. My question for the Yankees is, did they maybe peak too early? Like this is a team that was playing like 7:30 baseball at the beginning of the year for a team that I thought was like good but not this good. Is Aaron Judge going to hit like Aaron Judge is on pace to hit like 70 home runs? Is he going to keep that up in the playoffs? I think a lot of this will be how much internally do they keep it up. I believe they traded Jordan Montgomery, who was having a really nice season for them. And here's my rule: when you trade with Oakland, I don't trust Billy Beane because he seems to win a lot of these deals. And whenever he trades a pitcher, they for some reason fall right off the face of the earth when they leave that Oakland Coliseum that, where it's like 480 to center or like it's just huge. So I don't know if I don't know. I don't know enough about Frankie. What's his name? Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas.
Frankie Montas. He was highly sought after by a lot of teams.
Yeah,
his name was like everywhere.
All Oakland guys are, but yeah, they missed out on him. I heard that they were pretty close with Shohei Ohtani, which would have been very terrifying if you were a Jays fan for sure. And they missed out on obviously Juan Soto. So they're good. I don't know what to make of them yet. I want to see them, but they've got a lot of good components. Is their bullpen going to hold up? This is not the bullpen they had of 3 years ago. That was just sixth inning on. It was you're done. You were finished. So it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if they peaked too early. I think this puts into context how good that, like for them, like the Mariners team that won, I believe 116 games. The Yankees have had an unbelievable season and they still even are on pace to come close to that mark. So we'll see. It's going to be, I'm excited for October. Let's put it like that. And
everyone loves a little October baseball. That's for sure. Before we get going, anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? Any highlights of the day, or that pretty much it?
Man, baseball trade deadline sucks. Like they don't even try to put production value into that.
They really don't. But I was watching, I think it was the MLB network, and it was decent. But I do like how the deadline ends at 6.
Yes.
Right into that dinner hour.
Love
right? As opposed to like noon or 3 o'clock, which some other leagues do. So I like the 6 o'clock thing, and I think other leagues should adapt that.
All I want to know is how does this affect and how does this carry over into Sunday for the Ruthless Royals? That's what I want.
Oh boy, Frankie's back in the lineup. We missed him last game. We lost because he wasn't there.
Flashing that glove and that arm in the outfield.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Highly sought after trade.
I am the
and sometimes that ball is flashing right by that glove. So
rarely. I am the Ramil Tapia of the Toronto of the Ruthless Royals without the dreadlocks and the speed and
I was gonna say the Bradley Zimmer, but okay, we'll give you Tapia.
Ouch. I'm the Whitfield now.
All right, boys, let's get out of here. Hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button.